This past week has been filled with nothing but literal pain. Stick around, let's talk about it.
All I need are some tasty waves, cool buzz, and I'm fine.
What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. I am Rad, back with another video. And as you heard in the intro, this past week has been filled with literal physical pain. But before we get into that, I'd like to thank you for liking and subscribing to the channel. Just remember that when you do that, it really does help out with the YouTube algorithm, pushes the channel out, and gets it seen in front of more people. So like, subscribe, and share. And then also want to throw out a little plug again for my company, Totally Rad Candle. And I'm not going to get into the different ones. Go to the website. The link is in the description. The candles are in my shop, along with my affiliate accounts that I have with Freestyle watches and members only jackets. So if you can help support the channel, help support the candle company, would be great. Have a few of y'all that have bought some, and as far as I know, they are loving it. So with that said, I kind of wanted to get into, and I'm gonna harness my inner Brandon from GenX POV, because he has a lot of really great videos about, well, I mean, POV, point of view, perspective, GenX perspective, and kind of gets into that. We're both Gen X, we're really good friends, but our channels are different. He is, whether he realizes it or not, he is a little bit more philosophical, and he's a great storyteller. And so it started to make me think after the last thing that happened to me yesterday. So within the last week, I pulled and ripped some cartilage here in the upper rib cage. I had massive contusion on my thigh. I had a broken toe, and then I got stung in the face by a wasp right around in here. So all of it hurt. But then I started to think last night as I was going to bed, I was like, you know what? Getting in and out of bed hurts from the chest. Walking or doing anything with shoes on hurts the foot. And then of course, just wearing my glasses last night, having to take them off with the swelling on the side of my face from the wasp stinging me. I thought back, and it was just nothing but smiles. See, the way I look at it, I've always told my kids, is your glass half empty or is your glass half full? I've always been the glass is half full kind of guy. Although I may be cynical a little bit sometimes, I try to see the good in everything, and I try to see the positive in everything. Of course, now, going into 51 years old here next month, it just kind of started to get me to think about being even more appreciative of those things, because I just laid those out, right? All of these things that happened. And at the time that they happened, they hurt immensely. I do happen to have a high pain threshold, just one of those people that do. And, but nonetheless, I still feel it, right? It hurts. I just take it differently. But then when I sat back and I thought about it, each and everything that was painful to me was a beautiful thing. And let me explain what I mean. So first of all, Roth's been staying with me for the summer. Typically, I'm supposed to have him for 30, 45 days. I forget. Last couple summers, he hasn't spent more than a week with me just because his mom has planned to go do things. And I'm the type of guy that's like, hey, look, if she's going to take you, I think it's Tennessee or Mississippi. I don't know where the recreation of the Ark is at. He got to go do that, Noah's Ark last year. That's pretty cool. So, and then he has friends, right? He's 15, he's about to be 16 next month, just 2 days after my birthday. And so I let him do that. He's older. I've had experience with my two older kids, and that's just kind of how it is. But I've had him now for well over a month, and it's going to be sad to see him go back, even though I see him every other weekend. He's always been wanting me to train him in martial arts. Now, I tried when he was younger, and he would just laugh and giggle, and he just didn't really take it seriously. Now that he's older, he's like, hey, Dad, can you teach me some moves? So, I get back there and I teach him some moves, and then I get hurt. Now, let me explain. those of you that are martial artists know that there's sparring involved. There's things that happen in a dojo. That's why you see professional fighters pull out of fights all the time, because they injure themselves in training. If you're not getting injured, it's because you're not training with somebody else. And I believe that training with somebody else is always very important. So how do I have the contusion on my thigh, and how do I have the messed up cartilage? Well, training him to do leg kicks, right? And a heavy bag, which we have, it's one way of knowing, do your form and all that. I allowed him to kick me in the leg. That's how I did it in training. That's how most martial artists in Muay Thai or in certain forms of karate, can't think of the one offhand, but there's one that specializes in really hard leg kicks. And so after several times, and actually after watching Here Comes the Boom movie with, what's it, Kevin, I forget his name, anyway, and Boss Rutan, I'm like, nope, you're kicking wrong. You gotta move your shin this way. You gotta chop it this way. Don't kick with your foot. So a couple shots turned into about 20 shots. That's fine. That hurts a little bit, but that didn't damage my leg other than getting the contusion and a bruise, which is still there. It's pretty gnarly. But then the rib cage was showing him how to punch a certain way, and him miscalculating. And again, I'm allowing him, since he's much smaller than me, to hit me a little bit harder than he would be able to hit his friends, which is why I allowed him to train with me. He got off on his target, and instead of hitting straight, hit up and under. And I have had major rib breaks before. I've broken my sternum in a car accident, not in a fight, but I've broken my ribs on both sides and in the back, and a vertebrae from full contact fighting in the past. So as soon as he hit me, I knew it. It hurt, but and he felt really bad about it. I told him not to. The bottom line is now he understands the strength. He understands how to throw a punch. He understands all this stuff. So even though that hurt, and I'm still hurting right now, it's very positive, because I got to teach my son something that I know, a skill that I know, that now he's beginning to know, and that he can work on more when he goes to a heavy bag or his speed bags that he has at home. He now has a little bit more knowledge. So again, even though it was painful, it makes me feel happy to know that I was able to impart that onto my son. Second thing, the broken toe. It's not the big toe, but the long toe next to the big toe, or the skinny toe. We call them a long toe because in my family, we got this genetic whatever where it's always longer than our big toe. It's funny, I saw my nieces the other day. I saw my nephews the other day. I saw Roths, and my sons, my oldest sons, they're all the same. It's weird. It's like a genetic marker that we have.
Oh, did you see the toe? Mauricio.
So I stubbed it walking around on our stair stepper. Just caught it just perfectly, snapped it. The old thing just became a bruise. Now, I've broken all of my toes before in fights. Again, it hurt like hell. But then what's the positive of that is that I have been using the stair stepper, right? It's a piece of equipment. We keep it right there behind the sofa so we can work out and watch TV, right? Or listen to music or whatever. That one doesn't have as much existential meaning to it, except for the fact that the piece of equipment's there, and maybe it was a subconscious way of reminding me that I needed to use it more. But that one really did hurt. It turned the whole toe purple. And then the wasp sting to the face. Walked out. I've never, we have them on our house. I try to knock them down whenever I can, but I've never had one just literally come down and attack me. This one did. I walked outside under my porch onto my sidewalk. It was directly above me, and it swooped down and stung me right about here. Missed my eye by about that much. And but again, did I get upset? No, it hurt a little bit. But why was I outside? I was outside because we have these hawks. It looks like a mom and dad, male or female, and a baby that they've been training. And we're talking about big hawks, mini eagles, right? And they've taken roost up in our tree, and they make a certain noise. You know the sounds that they make, and they're just beautiful to watch. They're like looking at an eagle. And so I heard them out there, and I said, I want to go out there and I want to see the hawks. I wanted to see nature. I wanted to see this creation that I don't know if you would call them majestic. They're just, we have all types of birds in our yard, but we don't normally have the hawks hanging out. And so I wanted to go out and see this beautiful creature and look at it. And while I did that, I got stung in the face by another piece of nature. So all about perspective, right? Everything physically hurt, nothing mentally, right? But it just made me take account of all the great things in my life, because although these things, as I said, caused me this physical pain, every one of them gave me mental happiness and joy, and able to step back and do a perspective on my life. And I would challenge you guys to do the same. I know there's a lot of really just crazy things going on in the world right now, all over the world, not just the US. Depending on what side of the aisle you sit on, these people are upset and these people are upset. But as a Gen X, right, the ones who say that we don't really care what people think, and we're tough and we're thick-skinned and all that type of stuff, you know, I think sometimes we lie to ourselves a little bit. We're still human, and we still allow ourselves to get down. We still allow ourselves to get depressed. And especially now with some of the things going on in the world, we're allowing those things to sit on our shoulders and really take us down. So I just wanted to take a few minutes today to just, maybe give some of you guys some hope. Although some things may hurt, sometimes it doesn't feel, when you have to be molded and pushed and prodded and stuck and stretched and smashed. At the end of the day, some of those things are for a good reason. So take count in your life, look back and see how you can see things with your glass half full instead of half empty. So with that said, I appreciate you watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe, share the video. And with that said, I will see you on the next video. Take care.